Welcome to Twisted Tales of True Crime. Hi, I'm Deborah. On some of my social media accounts, I'm known as auntteadee, but here you can call me Deborah. Well, I've been taking a look yesterday at the court hearing, and a lot of juicy nuggets just fell out. And then also, I have been reviewing and thinking about that DoorDash order that Xana and Ethan, well, rather, Xana supposedly had ordered that night. I just could not, for the life of me, understand how a person can eat at midnight and continue to be hungry 4 hours later. Well, I do have some idea as to how I have analyzed that situation. Xana grew up as a student athlete. She used to be a gymnast. She's always pretty much kept herself in shape. And these are some of her younger pictures that she had, and this was at her memorial. She's a beautiful young lady. If you want to know how I analyze that, let me share with you what my thoughts are. Xana and Chapin, according to her father, the conversation that she had with her dad, Xana and Ethan were back at home around midnight. But inside the PCA, if you notice, they speak of Xana and Ethan being home around 1:45. Here it says, on the evening of November the 12th, 2022, Chapin and Kernodle are seen by Bethany Funk at the Signa Chi House on the University of Idaho campus at 735 Nez Pierce Drive. I guess that's the location. From approximately 9 o'clock p.m. on November the 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November the 13th. This right here is the story that I'm assuming that Bethany Funk told the police officers. And this is the reason why this ended up in the PCA. Please go check out Crime Sleuthing, her channel, and also check out Jewels of All Trade. They did an excellent job interviewing Xana's mom. I watched the whole thing months ago, but I was, reviewing for this particular episode I'm putting out. I wanted to review the piece that just spoke to where Xana's mom had a dialogue with Xana's dad about what happened that night. And so take a listen to that part of the interview that was on Crime Sleuthing channel. I will put a link in below so that you guys can go hear the whole full 3 hours of the entire interview. It was a wonderful interview that they did.
And that her and Ethan were already home. Is that? Mm-hmm. And I remember that you mentioned that in your Facebook your comments. So is that something that he's pretty much kept that he's remembering that, and that's just what it is, and there's no way about it? He talked to her around midnight, and her and Ethan were home.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's kept with that or not. I don't speak to him much, but he was the one that told me about it. He came and found me in Spokane, and, you know, before it hit the news and everything. And that's what he told me personally, was that he spoke with her, and that, you know, they were at the party, and that there was that altercation, and, you know, she was fine. She was at home. She was fine.
So it was basically like the fight didn't happen. They were just going on about their night like it was no big deal.
Yeah, like Xana had broke it up or whatever. And, you know, I think maybe she told her dad that, you know, to kind of keep him from worrying too, you know. She kind of made it sound like it wasn't that big of a deal, I think. It was kind of what it was. You know, because she didn't want him to worry, and he was ready to get in his car and drive over there, because he was in Pullman with Jazzy over in at WSU, because they had gone to the game, and he was getting ready to drive over to check on Xana, but Jasmine, she was like, "No, Dad, you've been drinking. Don't drive." So, and he had been drinking. So
okay.
All right. So, Gianna Gambino, we will get to that. Let me, Huda, thank you so much for the super chat. She says, "My condolence to you, Cara. One, did Xana order food at midnight? And do you know if there was a fight in the Sigma Chi that night about the locks?" That's one of the things that we were going to bring up, is that the altercation. That's one of the things on my little short list here.
I don't know if she ordered food at midnight. I don't know anything about that, but I do know that there was the fight. It's my understanding that they were eating pizza at home. So that's a little bit weird to me too, that there was the DoorDash at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
That's right. So
when I talked to Cara on the phone the other day, we were talking about, you know, some of the details of that night, and we agree it's really weird that Xana and Ethan would have pizza at like 12 or 12:30 and then order DoorDash.
Yeah. I mean, there was, you know, a few hours in between that, so I guess it's a possibility. I wouldn't rule it out, but
you're right. Yeah, that's something that I was thinking. That's something that I was thinking, but I couldn't find anywhere where he mentioned that, and he might have never mentioned it like anywhere in the public. You know, that might have just been conversations that you guys had between the two of you. But that is like that DoorDash thing. That's one of the biggest conundrums of this case, because the way that we're being told is, if, you know, the suspect, you know, Bryan, the suspect, whoever anybody wants to put it, and DoorDash basically dismissed each other by a half a millisecond.
Yeah.
And that's driving everybody super insane. So whenever people were saying, "Oh, what about this pizza thing?" I'm like, hold on a minute. But, you know, this was a college house. Maybe it was like leftover pizza and it just wasn't enough. So they ended up ordering food later. That's a possibility too.
Yeah. See, I thought about that as well. Yeah. And then I don't know if you guys watch Crime Circus, but I was watching the other day with my friend, and my friend pointed out, because Drip Drop was noting that there was that trash can. The trash can that outside of the house, that the cops were walking around, but they weren't looking in the trash. But it was just sitting there, and there was pizza boxes right on top of the trash. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, there they are right there.
Right? Yeah, because that would kind of correlate to what the whole pizza scenario is. Yeah. Well, that kind of even make it a little bit more curious.
Why were they just walking around it and not investigating in the trash? There could have been evidence in that trash can.
Yeah, there could have been, but I mean, we also know that they left like a glove just laying around outside with the trash too. They're not very, you know, observant, it seems.
Yeah, no, and then they were tying the crime scene tape to the ladder that's right up against the house, that's right by the ledge of Xana's window.
Yeah, I
And
found that a little strange that they
that
didn't just
was
like
a little
put the
weird
tape
too.
around it. Why did they tie it like that when it could have just gone around the ladder? Yeah, I found that kind of weird.
Take the time out if you would like to see the entire interview. Again, the link is below. It's Crime Sleuthing's channel, and she's interviewing Xana's mom with Jewels of All Trade. Now, I believe that the mother and the father have no reason why to uh, tell the public any other story that's not true when it comes to the timeline. But I think that a person who is vested or fearful that they are either caught up in the crime itself or involved in some kind of way made the DoorDash order. Whoever that might be, I don't know. But this seems like that there's a possibility that foul play was at hand and that Xana didn't really make that DoorDash order herself. But the parents have no reason why they would need to fabricate any part of the story because that's their child. They really care about them. It's anomalies like this that's very telling about the story. So when the PCA itself says 145, and you have the father saying that he talked to Xana around around midnight, and she had already said that her and her boyfriend had already settled in to for the night, and they were about to eat pizza, I'm assuming. So to me, just by seeing this within the PCA, this is a blatant inconsistency between a parent recounting what their child is telling them and what actually another a person inside the home is telling them. And let's note this. So this is a huge glare for me. And if it's you don't want to brush over this, because they can easily say, a person can easily say, well, Bethany, uh, she was there, she was present with you know with the roommate Xana, and she saw her boyfriend, Ethan. So their words should be taken. But remember, the roommates also said that the police officers initially wanted to say that everybody was at the house by 1:45, and the what came out was that Olivia was very adamant about no. They arrived at 1:56.
Tell me, Olivia, what specifically you've been frustrated with, because you did your own work here. For instance, you found video of the food truck, for example, where two of the victims were seen the same night as this killing.
Yeah, I would say, I think that obviously this is extremely personal for us, and we treated it that way from the very get-go. I know how valuable those first 48, 72 hours are. And I can only hope that the police also know how valuable that is, and that they have a lot of information there that just isn't public right now. I will say the one lingering frustration I have is the timeline. I know it's semantics, but my sisters got home at 1:56. It wasn't 1:45. I know it might not seem significant, but when we're looking for camera, when we're looking for dash footage, when we're looking for any of those things, I do feel it is valuable, and they did get home at 1:56. It was not 1:45.
Right. Well, there's one detail there. Kaylee's mother has said she believes that the suspect, the killer, is someone Kaylee knew very well, and that the killer might even be at the vigil. Remarkable. I wonder, Steve, do you share that view?
It's speculation. My daughter was very popular. It seemed like everyone that I talked to said she knew everyone. They had parties. They were college kids. They were about to graduate.
Yeah.
So somebody could have partied in the house and got an idea or got the confidence to pull that off.
In that little snippet, it shows that Olivia and the family understood it was important to get the details right. To me, the devil is always in the details. I believe that if Xana didn't order the DoorDash and somebody else did, it matters. It matters. I remember years ago, I think around 2012, when they had the trial for Jodi Arias. What made her such a villain in her own story was she came across like the everyday girl who you would not expect to plan out from beginning to end the murder of her boyfriend, but she did. And the crime itself was hideous. She used both a gun and she did it herself. It was crazy. For people to think that women are not capable of crimes, that's a lie, especially on a large scale. It's creepy, but I'm not suggesting that, it was a woman or a man, but who knows? I think that there was more than one person involved in this murder for the Idaho 4. Check out Jodi Arias and how cool, calm, and collect she seems to be on this interview.
There's a lot of evidence that places me at Travis's house, and there's a reason for that. And that reason is that that I did see Travis the day that he passed away. A lot of things happened that day. I almost lost my life as well.
She was so willing to share this information that could be incredibly detrimental to her case.
There was an argument among some people, two individuals, that one wanted to take my life. And
she told me that the intruder actually put a gun to her head and pulled the trigger.
The guy with the gun was standing near me, and I just remember holding my head and closing my eyes. He pulled the trigger, and nothing happened, just a click.
Subsequently, we found out that in her interrogation with Detective Esteban Flores of the Mesa PD, that the intruder who held the gun to her head took her information and let her go.
He grabbed my wallet, and he was looking through it.
What's interesting is that Jodi never told Detective Flores that the intruder tried to kill her.
He said, "You need to leave, and don't you call anybody, and don't you say anything, and don't you act like anything happened."
Completely different account of what actually happened. So it hit me that if she could so effortlessly make up this lie in front of me, what else is she capable of? But thank you very much.
Oh, thanks.
Jodi Arias is just one of those psychopaths who murdered her ex-boyfriend and tried to cover it up. And as you can see, she's charming and she's articulate and she is very, very believable, which brings me back to this case. The story that the roommates gave, and as far as what we know, it doesn't all add up, especially the DoorDash order. And when I started thinking about the idea that the girls called Jack DeCoeur and he didn't pick up his phone, what if the girls and everybody was already passed away and they were just trying to get someone to come over to the house so that it would confuse the situation, but unfortunately Jack DeCoeur didn't pick up. That's a possibility. These details, there's just so many crazy details into this story. Today, I noticed that Truth and Transparency came up with a discovery that within 7 days of the unalivings of the 4 victims, the police department had already, sought out a search warrant of Reddit. And a lot of people, like she was saying, were thinking that it's possibly they were doing a Reddit warrant for Kaylee. No, I don't believe that. I'm like Lana. I believe it was because they had already identified Bryan Kohberger is the person that they were going to pursue as far as like this murder. And they were, I believe now, even more so, that evidence of the sheet was planted. Even the location of where the DNA was, it's impossible for that DNA not to be degraded to a point where it's useless. Doesn't make any sense. It almost makes you want to think that they could have allegedly gotten DNA when they arrested Kohberger, and that was the DNA. Who knows? I mean, it's just so suspect at this point. I love Truth and Transparency. They have some of the best content. Well, she has some of the best content. She's a great researcher. She's such a details-oriented person. So I love how she seeks out information, and she's very meticulous about it, because I truly believe the devil is in the details. I picked out a small snippet of some of her information that she had to give on her latest video, which by far is a boom. If you go to her video, which I'm listing in the description, she talks about where she thinks that the prosecution may have identified Bryan Kohberger within 7 days of the deadly unalivings of those 4 college students. Like I said, I took a small snippet, and she speaks to what I was trying to figure out. And I love the way she pulled this together. Please take a listen, and also take the time out to go see the full video.
Nobody puts blurbs just because you are in a PhD program and makes that known on somebody's website, the university's website. You have to be contributing in some type of way, being a more of a big deal than you are just a student there, and we're going to make that known on a website. Now, pursuant then to records provided by a member of the interview panel from Pullman Police Department, we learned that Kohberger's past education, they listed. These records also show Kohberger wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. The internship may have started in the fall of 2022, but he writing his essay and applying most definitely happened in April, in the spring of 2022. Now, with all of that in mind, it would be this last sentence of paragraph 2 on page 11, where it reads, Kohberger also posted a Reddit survey. Now, it should be known, and if it is not known, it will be now, that law enforcement, Moscow Police Department, November 20th, 2022, a Reddit search warrant was applied for and obtained on November 20th, 2022. I obtained a search warrant for Reddit.com. The warrant, though, wasn't served until December 1st, 2022. It was held on. It was held. Now, the murders, November 13th, within 7 days of the murders, one of the top priority search warrants would be that of a Reddit account. Realized that they made a mistake here and probably could not go forward with this search warrant that early. December 1st, 2022 would then be when they served Reddit with this search warrant. But they went and obtained this search warrant for Reddit on November 20th. Signed off, search warrant of Reddit.
Well, that's a boom. In the process of investigating, the Idaho 4 records and the events that have culminated from the investigation, I noticed that many of the parents, well, all of the parents, have been very visible except for one parent. Each one of the parents have given the public a chance to get to know their family, get to know the child, their child that has passed away. We've heard from Ethan Chapin's parents. We learned that he is a triplet. He loves sports. He was a very vibrant person, uh, definitely a gift to the world. His mother even wrote a small a children's book. Because Ethan's color was blue. It's just those little things that are so special. And they even created a flower, you know, that was in honor of Ethan. And then, there was Cara, who is Xana's mother, who struggled with addiction. She was a week before they passed away. She was going through the process of trying to work through a case that dealt with drugs, and so that was very, very hard for, I'm sure, Xana, knowing that her mother struggled with addiction. Nevertheless, she loved her child. And then you have her father, who just a week prior was overseeing Xana put a lock on her door for safety reasons. It makes you wonder, why does she have a sense of urgency to put a lock on her door? And then he clarified what she did that evening, which was hang out with her boyfriend and have pizza. And the roommates have a different story as far as like timing. And then you have the Gonzalez family. You have Steve, who's very, very outspoken. He's an alpha male. He's really takes charge, and he's a leader for his family. I can tell in everything that he does. And Christy, she's Mama Bear. She's just a beautiful, beautiful spirit, a very beautiful mom. She says something that struck my heart, a couple of things. And one of those things was when she says that when she was looking out the window in that documentary and says that, don't the world realize that that Kaylee's gone? And I can definitely relate to that when it comes to my father. I felt the same way. Doesn't the world know that my dad's gone? Here we have Maddie's father, and Maddie, his father, he's happens to be at a Starbucks, having an interview, dialoguing with the interviewer about his daughter and why he chose that location. He chose that location because that was one of the last locations he and Maddie got a chance to meet up before she went back to school. But we don't hear or know anything much about the face of Maddie's mom. There have been speculations about drug involvement, or, how there has been a lot of speculation about drug involvement when it came to both Xana and Maddie's mom. Unfortunately, we really don't know the full story. There have been, tea leaves out there saying that, was this a drug-related issue? Was someone trying to get back at either Maddie's mom or Xana's mom, and they took it out on the kids because perhaps they took some type of plea deal? who knows? That's just speculation, and nothing has been made to be a fact or true. And I'm just speculating myself because I don't really know the truth of it all, but it seems very, very much so suspect that you have this happen, and so far we haven't heard anything from Maddie's mom. Someone speculated, I heard that there's a witness in protective custody. Could it be that witness that's in protective custody is Maddie's mom? Who knows? Just have to figure it out later. Well, that's all that I have for you today. I just wanted to talk about a little bit about that pizza situation, but I really want to dive in and see if I can find any type of information on Maddie's mother, because like I said, nothing that I'm saying here is factual. It's just me speculating. This is purely for entertainment purposes. And I just want to thank you. If you want to help support the channel, my links are in the description. And please hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you're notified when I upload a video. Bye. Oops, I forgot to mention that in my next video, we're going to discuss the cast information. Bryan Kohberger leaving his home and supposedly turning his phone off. We're going to discuss what today's environment is like for privacy and why that assumption makes it seem like police can have it both ways. Why is it that my phone has to be some future homing device for the police? It don't have to be. Let's discuss the topic.